Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely. How do I do that? I review the wines, I grade them, and then it's up to you. I review, then it's up to you. It's your palate, never forget that. Don't let anybody ever tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And in the spirit of Super Bowl week, I'm wearing the Zach Miller jersey. It's way too big for me. I think I got it on a clearance rack at a Seahawks game. Got the Seahawks little football that we got for my grandson Bentley. It's on the soft side. Wonder why. Just in, kind of a little bit of a slam to the Patriots, who I believe are or did cheat in the AFC Championship game. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of time before it's brought to the attention or the NFL officials figure all this stuff out. Of course, they're going to wait until after the Super Bowl, which makes sense to me. It does make sense because, you don't want to do anything prior to the Super Bowl. Let's let the Seahawks beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl and then let everything pan out the way it's supposed to. I think I mentioned this in my last episode, but I have a lot of respect for Sherman for bringing out the friendship between Goodell and Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots. It's obvious conflict of interest. Got my Maker's Mark bottle with the Seahawks colors on it. Shout out to Makers for doing that. That's really cool, nice touch. Hopefully I get to open, I am going to open it this Super Bowl. So, since the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl for the second time, I thought it'd be good to do a little Washington wine episode. I kind of incorporated Washington with Australia wines in my last episode, but this time I'm going to go straight up Washington, and this is a new producer that I'm not familiar with at all, and so I thought it'd be a good time to bring these in. It's called Diversion from, Copper River Estate Diversion. And I thought Diversion would be a good name for a wine prior to the Super Bowl, since this whole Deflategate thing has got everybody kind of on a different page. It's kind of a diversion from really the game that's coming soon. By the way, I believe that the Patriots cheated. I believe that Belichick has cheated many times in the past. He got caught once before. It wasn't his first time. So, he has a kind of a track record for that. And I hope that kind of hangs over his head for a long time, because I don't really believe that Belichick is the genius that they all tag him to be. Certainly if he was a genius, he wouldn't have cheated in the first place. Let's get off that bandwagon. So, this is Copper River Estate Diversion Riesling. It rolls in at $12. I believe you can get it for less than that, depending on how many cases the store buys. It's all that whole buy 3 cases, get it for this price sort of thing. But just straight up, it's $12. And this is Riesling, which Washington State is well known for. Riesling, it's one of their major grapes that they do very well. And I know a lot of you out there probably don't drink Riesling. You think it's too sweet, whatever. Riesling, if you haven't tried a Riesling, if you've stayed away from them because they're sweet or whatever, I would encourage you to at least give them a try. Let's build a little bit there. I'd encourage you to give them a try, because really they're very good for certain types of food, especially Asian fare. Spicy foods, Riesling goes very well. And not all Rieslings are sweet. For instance, a Pusey Vale that I tasted a few episodes back on Australian wines, that was bone-dry Riesling. And so, which would be really good with shellfish, things like that. So you shouldn't just shut your mind or close your mind. If you haven't tried a Riesling yet, if it's something you haven't ventured into, I would encourage you to try them. And if you're going to try one, try a Washington Riesling. They're very good. And if you want to even go a step further, go to Germany for their sweet Rieslings, or go to Alsace. Alsace is known very much for their dry Rieslings. Just depends on what you want. But Riesling with spicy foods, and we have the Super Bowl coming up, and a lot of us will have spicy foods during the Super Bowl. You might consider bringing a Riesling into play with those spicy foods. Now I know beer and booze are a big part of the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't consider you out of line going wine in the Super Bowl. I go wine in the Super Bowl. Certainly nobody looks at me cross-eyed. Of course, I'm Stan the wine man, right? Supposed to drink wine. The only person that gives me a hard time is my wife. She says, Stan, you drink enough wine. This is a beer booze thing. And she's probably right, but I still bust out some wine before the Super Bowl. And I'm excited to try this because I'm thinking maybe this might be a good wine to incorporate with Doritos or so forth. In fact, coming up, I did this last year, and this is going to be an annual thing for me, best wines with Super Bowl food. I'm going to shoot a couple of videos on that, maybe one, maybe two, I haven't decided yet, but definitely doing a Super Bowl, best wines with Super Bowl food. This is a jersey I wore last year for that episode. I'm not sure what I'll wear this year, but let's get on with the Diversion Copper River Estate Diversion Riesling, and let's see, what's the vintage? I might have, come on. I might have written over the vintage. It should be 2012 or 2013. I can't believe it's a non-vintage. That would be hard for me to believe that it's non-vintage. I know it's not. I'm sorry guys, I cannot find the vintage on the label anywhere. Maybe it is non-vintage. Find that hard to believe. Oh, nope, that's the alcohol content. I'm missing it. Don't know the vintage on this one. But it's a current vintage. I know that. It's a current release. I know that. I just got it. So let's see what we get on those. Get a little bit of that rubber boot action, which we've talked about many times. Riesling, well-made Riesling, will have a little bit of that petroleum, they call it. I call it rubber boot. It reminds me of those, remember those black rubber boots with the red stripe on the top that we wore when we were kids? That's what it reminds me of. A little bit of pineapple coming through on the nose. Getting an interesting spice action, which is kind of cool. I'm getting some peaches and apples. Pineapple, peaches, and apples with a little bit of rubber boot coming through. Very interesting nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very, very, very good Riesling. It's not bone dry, but it's not sweet either. It has some sweet fruit tones. Definitely getting apple and peaches. A little bit of tangerine, a little bit of pineapple. The petroleum comes through, the rubber boot comes through, but it's hardly a dominant part of the palate. This is one of those Rieslings that could work with spicy food and with shellfish. Very, very excited about this Riesling. The sales rep that gave me this, Matthew, put $7.99 on the back label. I looked it up in the catalog, came up with 12 bucks. It must be somewhere in between you can get this Riesling, but it is very good. Dry enough to get some of those kind of geeky Riesling guys that really like bone dry, cutting acidity Riesling. It's enough to get them interested, and it's enough for the people that want a little sweetness to their Riesling to please them. Very nice Riesling. Very excited about this. It's actually very, it gets sweeter on the mid palate, which is interesting. Starts out a little dry, gets sweeter on the mid palate, then finishes dry with that kind of citrus notes coming through with a little bit of apple on the backside. And there's enough acidity that it kind of cuts through all that sweetness. The only flaw that I would say this wine, and it might not be a flaw to some of you, but to me it's a little bit of a flaw, is it's got a little bit of a granulated sugar element in the mid palate, which may put some people off. But I think the petroleum, that rubber boot thing, kind of offsets that a little bit, makes it interesting. I'm going to go B plus on this Riesling. I really like it. I think they did a nice job. It's really proof of what can come out of Washington as far as Riesling goes. And, you know, I think Riesling's a good play for a lot of Super Bowl foods. I know Riesling would go really well with my Velveeta chili cheese dip, for sure, among other things. All right, we're going to move on to their Copper River Estate Diversion Majestic Red. Just curious about the vintage on that Riesling. That's kind of weird. I fully expected just to see it on there, and I just do not see it. You know, it's amazing to me how cryptic they put the vintage on here sometimes. It's just not here. I don't see it. Sorry about that. So this is the this does not have a vintage on it either. Copper River Estate Diversion Majestic Red. This is Washington appellation, as was the other one. I forgot to mention that, which means they can source their fruit from anywhere in Washington State. And I'm sorry about the vintage. I really should have looked carefully. I didn't expect this to be non-vintage. My apologies for that, for holding up the program, trying to find that. Okay, let's give this one a whirl. And the blend on this is 50% Merlot, 29% Cab, and they say the rest is Syrah, but they leave it open, like maybe there's some other things, but there's a predominant Syrah. If it's all Syrah, it's 21%. I give on that. Let's see what we get on the nose. By the way, Washington State is not only known for their Riesling, but Merlot is a huge play in Washington. Some of the best Merlot in the world come from Washington State. At least that's my opinion, and I know a lot of other people share that opinion with me. Almost like a toasty oak element on the nose. Get a little bit of violets coming through. A lot of currants, almost like a little currants with a little brown sugar on it. Let's see what we get on the palate. Not quite as excited about this one as I was the Riesling. This is kind of boring to me. It doesn't have much going on the palate. There's a little spice, like a little white pepper, black pepper, kind of cracked black pepper on the front, but pretty much front to back, I get a little vanilla, cherries and currants, and nothing really exciting about it. It just kind of is there. And a little bit of that toasty oak thing comes through. Kind of reminds me of just a boring red wine that you might just drink and not even think about it. Now, that being said, if you're having some hamburgers or pizza, this might be a good play, but I can guarantee you I can find you a boatload of wines under $10. Yeah, he has $7.99 written on the back. I don't know where he got that price. It could be a multiple case price when you know, in the wine world, if you buy, 3 cases or 2 cases or whatever, you get a cheaper price. That's just the way they tier their pricing, trying to get you to buy more wine. But straight up, it just says 12 bucks in the catalog. I'm going to go with that. And at $12, I could find you, I really could find you many, many better wines than this that have more layers, that have more interesting things, that aren't quite as boring. I mean, you get a little bit of that Syrah vanilla thing going on. I'm going to go D on that wine. I think for $12, whatever you get it, even if it was $8. Okay, let's say it's $8. It's still a D wine. It's very boring, very passé, nothing going on that's really of interest. If you like a little toasty oak with your currants and your little bit of char, I'm sorry, not going there. I like the Riesling though. Riesling was very good, not so big on the red blend. There you go. A little Washington wine. Seahawks from Washington in the Super Bowl right now. Today's media day on ESPN. And so it's interesting to watch the players talk and do all that stuff. And you know, I was thinking about this. It's amazing how many wine guys are actually football fans. I know Joe Roberts is a big Eagles fan. Feel bad for you, Joe. Might be a while before the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. They need to beef up their defense a little bit. And of course, Gary Vaynerchuk, big Jets fan, wants to buy the Jets. He probably needs to buy the Jets if he's going to get them to go anywhere. He's got some good ideas on what to do. Anyway, enough said about football. I know you guys aren't big, probably all of you aren't big football fans. I know a lot of you are big on the Seahawks because they're from our home state, right? They're going to the Super Bowl. We're excited about that. Tasted some Washington wine. Sorry they didn't both turn out really good, but that's the way it goes with wine. You can't win them all, right? You can't win them all. But hopefully, not even hopefully, the Seahawks will win. I plan on giving my prediction for the Super Bowl soon, so stay tuned for that. By the way, I want to ask you, you can make a comment, you guys that are watching these videos, please comment, what do you think the score will be in the Super Bowl? Who do you think will win, and what do you think the score is going to be? Put your prediction down. There might be something in it for you if you do that. I'll let you know, whoever comes closest to the score, there may be something there for you. Perhaps a good bottle of wine. You never know. I'll let you know later in the week. But put your prediction down. What do you think it's going to be? Thanks for watching. And remember, wine is not a mystery. It's just grape juice. I don't care. Fermented grape juice, by the way. I don't care what anybody tries to say, whether they want to remystify wine or whatever. There are some things in the wine world that are complicated. We know that. Trying to remember some of the, appellations of Burgundy and all that stuff. But, that's not your problem, really, is it? You just want to drink wine. You just want to enjoy it. Never let anybody tell you what is good or bad, but always be open-minded. I got to shorten that conclusion. I'm working on it. Always be open-minded, try new things. If you do that together, we can take the snot out of wine. Thanks for watching.